Welcome to Summer with Seasons Leadership Podcast, where we celebrate the season of being in the flow, moving forward, and taking actions full of energy. Throughout the season, we'll bring you actionable advice to improve your leadership and life today. I'm here today, Susan Ireland, with Andy Erickson. And Andy has agreed to do this experiment with me and see if we can do a podcast like in the field.
Outdoors, al fresco.
Outdoors, yes, al fresco. So, Andy, tell us a little bit about yourself. What have you been up to lately?
I work for a consulting company called JMJ Associates, and I do a lot of work with frontline leaders on big construction jobs and in steel mills and factories. You and I met each other a long time ago. And when we both worked for a airplane manufacturer here in the Northwest.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's great to be with you again.
It is. You're a fantastic leader, and I really appreciate the insights that you're going to give us.
We're not setting the expectations too high at the beginning. I like to lower them.
Okay, all right. Well, let's just jump in here. So, Andy, one of the things that I've been hearing a lot about from people that I've been talking to, clients and others, is the workplace seems to be very chaotic these days. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's limited to any industry or any business or any size of business. But it feels like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of employee turnover. Mm-hmm. The economy is weird. Mm-hmm. I think people are worried about their jobs. Mm-hmm. And so the question I have for you is, being a leader in that environment, how do you get above the fray, the day-to-day firefighting, I guess enough to be able to think strategically, more long-term, more than just the next fire?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. I see the same sort of increased level of chaos or just churn. And I've often wondered, is this part of just getting old? Like does any time somebody turns 55, approaching 60, does the world just begin to seem chaotic? Or is it in fact, really different here in 2023? And I think it's probably a little of both. One of the things I'm trying to do in my work and also in my life, though, you talked about getting above the fray. I find it super, super helpful when I can find a little bit of remove. I'm not saying above, but be able to step back and recognize that there's a distance between how things are and how I feel about them. You said
Yes.
You said it yourself. People feel a certain way, or it seems a certain way. And I think those are good words to remember. The world is a certain way, and then I'm feeling about it. Yeah. There's nothing good or bad out there. There's no chaos out there. It's all through my perception of it.
Wow, yeah.
There's nothing chaotic until I put my level of expectations and how I think it should be and how I want it to be and how I remember it being when I was young, and it's different now, and all that stuff starts within me. Now, that's not to dismiss it, because it is real as heck.
Yes,
right?
Right.
But I like to think that I've got a fighting chance anyway of noticing my own, relationship to what's going on around me. If I get that it's me, I got a fighting chance of changing it. Whereas if it's the world, well, now I'm stuck and I'm kind of having to cope with whatever's going on. Do you see the difference?
I do, Andy. That's profound.
Well,
it's true.
It's true. It's easy to say and so hard to do, because I'm so worried that this podcast turns into a follow Andy around and see how often he does it in his own life. And I'd be delighted if I have a 350 batting average, right?
Yeah.
But that's, for me, is the game of just noticing that, okay, the world's really occurring through my perception of it, and I have a say. I have some control over how I perceive the world.
Wow. I think we should just turn it off and that's it. Yeah, it's true. do you have a practice, or how do you, when you catch yourself feeling chaotic and upset, or what do you do?
When I'm running workshops or doing coaching, one of the taglines or bumper stickers we always say is that relationship is the foundation of accomplishment. And usually I'm working with a big company or a big project, and they're up to something big. They want to complete this work without having any injuries on the job, or they want to meet this audacious schedule that the client has set for them. And we start by talking about how important relationships are to that. And that is an easy sell. I mean, people get that.
Do they?
It's not complicated. We can have a conversation like, hey, who's going to get more done together? Like, if you and I are just been assigned to go do a task, are we going to be more productive if I know a little bit about you, I let you know a little bit about me, I have an understanding of who you are and what you're up to. Heck, maybe I get to know you even better and I understand how to communicate with you and the more I connect with you, I don't have to like you, but I have to see you as a person and be seen as a person. Well, the communication's going to get better. The feedback's going to be more immediate. I'm going to be more willing to raise my hand and ask for help. And whether you're talking about, psychological safety or trust or motivation, we tap into more of our abilities when we're connected as people. So if you want to go to work on something big, we say, start by looking at your relationships. And that's, like I said, it's not, you don't have to twist too many arms to get that.
Right.
But then we turn the heat up just a little bit and we say, now, that's relationships that we have with people. Let's get complicated just a little bit, a little more esoteric. We have relationships to things that happen in our lives. We have relationships to the events that are going around us. You have a relationship to the technology that we're using to record this thing, right?
Yeah.
Your relationship to that is, I'm not confident in it. I'm not sure it's going to work. You've probably got some amount of, am I smart enough? Is there somebody who should be doing this and not me? Let's make up a story. Somebody else might have a resentment. Why the heck isn't Darren over here doing this for me? All that stuff is my relationship to this stupid little camera on a tripod that we're looking at.
Yeah.
It's the same deal. That relationship to the thing that's going on around me is the foundation of my accomplishment. So if I just notice that, that's the first practice, is just to say, oh, it's not that this camera sucks or this camera's awesome. This is just a camera.
Right.
It's my relationship to it.
Wait, can you go back there? You said your relationship to the thing is the foundation to your success.
The foundation of how much it defines how much you're able to accomplish.
So it could be with my relationship to my technology for this, because it is not confident.
Yes.
That in fact I might not be as successful as I could be if I was more confident or
think
trusted
about
it.
If something breaks down right now.
Yeah.
And you're already starting from a place of I'm not confident or I don't know how to do this, and I remember all the times in the past where it's let me down, and I have a story about myself that I'm just not good at this stuff. Now something breaks.
Yeah.
Your chances of going into that and figuring out a solution are much lower.
Yeah.
Than if you have a relationship to say, you know what? I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, and doggone it, I can handle this. The Stuart Smiley or whatever that Saturday Night Live thing was. But it's your attitude matters, and I am more open to the possibility, and I want to underline that word, the possibility. If I have it, my relationship to this is, yes, I can, I want to, I'm willing,
yes,
I'm committed. There's a greater possibility that I'll be able to deal with whatever the upset is in this camera, and that applies to everything in our life, right? My relationship to the thing going on around me determines the amount of possibility.
Wow.
Is it possible for us to do this great thing and create this accomplishment? And so I think that's what the practice is. The practice is to start using words. It starts with language. And using words that emphasize that I feel it this way, or I see it this way, or I'm relating to this way, or I'm experiencing, instead of saying that camera is no good,
yeah,
or instead of saying, hey, this idea is a bad one, because you're labeling the thing out there, speak in a way that, you know, like, I don't feel confident in this camera, or I don't understand. You're owning my relationship to it. That's the first practice, is in the language.
Owning the relationship.
Yeah. Don't label that stuff out there. Label what's going on in here, because this is what really matters. That's the first practice I think of. And then, the second practice is just then noticing it and saying, is this the right relationship? Is this sufficient?
Right. How about, is this what you want?
Yeah. And, you know, there are times, like, this doesn't always work every single time, but it works more often than not. If I can choose a relationship to a situation where I can say, you know what, I'm committed to this. I think it's possible for something good to happen here. It's up to me. I'm responsible. Mm-hmm. Those are the three power relationships. It's possible.
Yes.
I'm responsible. It's up to me. Nobody's going to come to help me. And I've committed to it, because it's going to fail, but I'm going to get back up and do it again. It's possible. I'm responsible. I'm committed to it. If I can choose those attitudes, I have more possibility.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I mean, that is a powerful position to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a victim, right? Whoops.
Sorry. Cut this out.
Yeah, we're not cutting anything out.
Oh, we're not?
Yeah.
I got a relationship to this mistake I've got a relationship to looking good on the camera. Okay, I'm going to reframe that. No, you said the word. How much of our life is spent being a victim?
Right.
And this is where, if we talk about modern events or current events, you know, this is where I worry that, you know, I feel a victim of so many things going on in our society, in our world. I don't like that political figure, or, you know, this infectious disease came, and I feel like a victim. It's hard. It's easy to feel like a victim nowadays.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
There's a lot of people who are making a lot of money selling us on the idea of it's awful, it's them that's doing it to you, and we're not in control. There's a lot of money to be made selling it. And I'm afraid that if there's something going on nowadays, it's that we feel like more victims, I think. Maybe. Right. There's more victim thinking.
Wow. Well, and that's hard to live with. So say if you have a whole group and the majority of people are feeling like victims, that is hard. That's hard to collaborate. It's hard to be creative.
There's no possibility.
Yeah.
There's no sense of it's possible. Right.
Wow. Well, that no possibility, and then the trust is low.
Yeah. It's never gonna work. You know, it's the whole Debbie Downer. It's the whole negativity. So I think, you know, that's maybe another practice. You asked about practices, using the right language, talking about my reaction of things, my experience of things with some ownership. Just noticing that what my relationships are. I think another one that touches on victim is we've got to stop complaining. I mean, when I complain, I'm generally speaking, I'm talking about something out there that's wrong.
Right.
I'm telling you my story that's about what's going on out there, and it's rarely an empowering story.
Right.
It's rarely a story that says, I'm in charge here, I can do something about it, and it's possible. Man, when I'm complaining, I'm a victim of whatever it is I'm talking about. And so that's maybe a third practice, is notice your complaints and knock it off. Stop it.
Stop it. Yeah. What happens when people are complaining to you?
Yeah, well, that's hard, because here's the other deal. Remember, I talked about we have a relationship with people.
Yes.
Right? You and I have a relationship with each other because we've known each other for a long time. And there's a level of trust and how much we will or won't say. There's boundaries, you know, what we will and will not feel comfortable doing. I also have a relationship to you, which is different from my relationship with you. And this is the super subtle point. We each have a relationship to people around us, before you walk in the door, I have a expectation of how it's going to go, or
True.
I have a sense of, how I'm likely to feel. That's my relationship to you. What we're talking about when we're here together, that's my relationship with you. But I have a relationship to people, like before I even meet them. I'm going to buy a car. I haven't met the car salesman yet, but I got a relationship to that car salesman before I even know what her name is, because I have a story about car salesmen, right?
Right. Could this be like biases?
Oh, yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Biases, past experiences,
Yeah.
assumptions, and they're negative and they're positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I forget what we were saying that we got onto this, but that's another.
No, it's if somebody is complaining to you.
Oh, right.
How do you do that?
So
how do you manage?
Thank you. That's so good. How often, when I'm listening to somebody complain, do I think to myself, you know what? They always complain. This is what my relationship to this person is. They are a complainer.
Right.
And in that moment, I'm a victim of that person, because they come into my life and they piss all over my desk and they share their negativity. And so I got to choose in that moment to say, okay, this thing is happening. I get to choose my reaction to it. Now I get to decide. Am I going to try and chew this person up and point out their habits of complaint and try and adjust it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Probably not going to work.
Going to make a difference unless that person comes specifically asking for help. So then I got to choose to say, I got to choose a more powerful relationship to say, you know what? I get that this is where this person is in their life. They're doing the best they can with what they have and what they're up to, and this is how it's showing up. But I'm going to not let this stuff get on me.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and redirect the conversation to say, you know what? I hear you. Totally get it. Can we talk about what we're going to, so now what?
Yes. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah. So now, we're like, okay, you might be right. You might be wrong. I don't know. But now what?
Right.
And man, if I can just choose my relationship to the person where I'm not going to get dragged into their complaining and kind of get brought into their victim cycle, and I can just say, focus on, okay, so got it. But now what? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's not easy.
No, it's not. No, because people all of us, this is not people out there, it's all of us, like to be together in the misery.
Yeah.
There's it feels kind of good to be right, to be,
validated.
Yeah, it is terrible out there or whatever. Yeah.
And I hate it when somebody comes in and they're a goody two pants and they got this righteous, well, actually, if you knew a little bit more, you'd see it this. Screw you. And I sure as heck don't want to be that guy, because I want to fit in.
Yeah. Right.
So it's a constant battle, and I think we should be gentle with ourselves. If we can do this for 15 minutes a day at first, maybe get to 30 minutes, and maybe so.
Well, and the other thing is, I think I've got so many things going in my mind, but it's also helpful to have people to talk to about this.
Yes.
So I so appreciate you, so I can say, Andy, let's talk about this.
Yes.
To get me, it's another perspective. If I'm around negative people or people feeling like victims, and I'm feeling like I'm surrounded.
Yeah.
Like I need to throw a lifeline out.
Yeah. Well, it's what we talked about earlier. Like you said, getting above the fray, or stepping back and having perspective.
Yes.
I'm not stuck in that thing. I'm going to call a timeout, get off the court and be able to watch it.
Yeah.
That's so much what the value you and I find in our conversations is. I get to step out of Andy and Andy's little soap opera life. Yes. And it's true. Yeah, and I just get to watch. And I think it's all of us, what you're doing as a coach, isn't it? I mean, that's a big part of it, is kind of holding up a mirror, but putting the person in a safe place where they can reflect on themselves and how they're doing.
Right. It is so important. That is exactly what I do as a coach. Yeah. We also call that, getting on the balcony.
I think that's Ronald Heifetz was the guy I first heard that phrase from. Getting on the balcony, getting out of the push and shove.
Right, but it's important. So you get on the balcony, but then you have to get back down on the dance floor because you got to be up and down, and then there's even getting to like get on a drone and get even higher and look down. Sometimes you gotta go way high to actually see what's happening.
I think we're gonna need a bigger balcony, right? This is gonna.
Yeah.
we got layers to this stuff.
Yes.
That's funny.
It is true.
That's funny.
Well, so the other thing about this is talking about this, like having people to talk to is so important, whether it's a coach or a friend or a colleague. But another thing that's been coming up with clients and people I've been talking to, and it's happening a lot. So I think it's. I mean, I know it is common. It was with me too. Is that when you're managing people and leading people, you know, we're people. Leaders are people, and we want to be liked.
Yeah. Yep.
And when we're working really hard.
Yep.
Doing our best with the best intention, and then some people just don't like us.
Yep.
And they maybe talk bad about us and in the organization, and that is really makes me feel bad.
Yep.
And it makes the job harder.
Yep.
Have you experienced that? Do you hear it?
What time is it? Yeah, it's been about 15 minutes, but yeah, of course I have. Of course I have. You know, I say this in a very glib way, like, hey, you don't need to like everybody, but you got to know them, see them as a person, and let them see you as a person. That is so easy to say, and people nod their head, yeah. But when I get into it, I kind of do want them to like me.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. Because I think that's hardwired into us as a species also. You know, the caveman that wasn't deeply attached to having the rest of the tribe like them probably lived less long and reproduced less often than the caveman who was deeply committed to being fit in the group and making sure that everybody liked her or liked him and things like that.
It's true.
So it's hardwired into us. Again, though, I think if you can notice it, and it's not a situation where the reality is they don't like me. The reality is I feel like they don't like me, or I'm afraid they don't like me, or I really want them to like me. See, I can do something about that.
Right.
Maybe. I got a better shot at doing something about that than I do they don't like me.
Right. Well, and you can't make somebody like you.
And yet, isn't that the freedom? Like if you get to the point where that person, let's say, and this doesn't ever happen except maybe in movies, where you have the conversation with a person and they say, look I just don't like you. I'm never going to like you. Like, you know, you look like my old football coach who I hated, and there's no chance that I'm ever going to like you. In some respects, Susan, it's freeing.
Yeah, well, that's true, right.
Because I don't have to try anymore. It's not my fault.
Right.
I didn't screw up. That's a them thing, not a me thing. And so, again, it's choosing a different relationship to the person. Like, I'm not going to, you know, if I have a relationship of wanting them to like me, attached to them liking me, striving and frustrated that they're not liking me, I'm going to be miserable and ineffective. But if I can get to a place of they have their feelings, I have mine, I can't. That's on their side of the table. I can't manage the stuff that's going on their side of the table and manage my stuff. It gets a little bit less fraught.
Right. Well, and it's that's a way to kind of step back. Yeah. To step back and see something and not be so in it.
Enmeshed or attached to it.
Yeah. It's really hard, you know, and I'm reflecting on when I was at Boeing.
Yep.
So I was in a large organization, and so, you know, of course I wanted people to like me, and I think for the most part most people did.
I think they did.
But not everybody. I had some people that really didn't. Well,
and let's be honest. Bring gender into it.
Yeah.
Bring race into it. Bring whatever other biases come into it, right? I think in my zero experience, but just watching women at Boeing, they had a much narrower lane or a needle to thread so far as being liked and being respected and being effective it was hard because of
Right.
all this other gender-related noise, and that doesn't even bring into all the other biases and things that come up.
Right,
So,
age
anyway.
and whatever.
Yeah.
But I do think so. I think although I wanted to be liked, it wasn't. I didn't feel as badly as some of the people I've been talking to, and I think maybe it might have to do with the support I got in the organization. I mean, it was pretty big, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I was confident that I knew that I was doing the best job I could with good intent. I wanted the best for all my employees and the organization that I was working with. And I asked for help and, all of those things. So if somebody just really didn't like me, I could feel confident that I was doing the best I could, and I got support from people around me saying, "Yes, you are doing a good job. Don't worry.
You're doing the best you could, and you're doing it the way we do it, the way it's done here at Boeing."
Yes, and you're doing a good job.
Yep.
So that's it. So we got your back.
That's right.
Yeah, I think we got your back is important. So then I think it maybe is different for people in smaller organizations.
Yeah. If I'm running a small tax accounting or a small a small business, and I'm the boss and I've got 3 employees, there's no this is how we do it here. It's like, no, this is how you do it, and I think you're a jerk.
Right.
It's way more it's personal right now.
Yeah.
It's all up in there. And I think that's why sometimes people in those positions feel an urge to kind of harden up, defenses up, like, okay, well, I'm not going to worry about liking you too much because I got to be able to fire you someday. Or I'm not going to demonstrate a whole lot of vulnerability, or I'm not going to be flexible because I don't want to be in a position where you're going to take advantage of me. I see that in my own life, but I got to, in a small business where my ego is at stake, it's no wonder that the defenses go up.
Right. Yeah.
But before you know it, you do that long enough, and I'm going to drift into having a relationship to my employees, not my relationship with my employees, but my relationship to my employees, that they are a short-term asset to be managed. They're potentially a threat. I got to keep an eye on them. And I think that's one of the reasons that sometimes small organizations are going to struggle to fulfill their potential, because, again, the leader, totally understandable, totally forgivable, chooses the relationship to the employees that says, you're a potential problem that I have to manage.
Right. Wow.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
Yeah.
Again, I think, I don't think there's a solution or a trick or something to practice that would solve this, except I do think having support, talking to maybe other founders or other people that are in similar size organizations and have similar problems, that you could bounce these things off of each other so you're not so alone.
C.S. Lewis had this great quote that friendship starts at the moment when somebody says, "What, you too? I thought I was the only one."
Yeah. So a coach is good. I think a coach or a mentor, but I agree with C.S. Lewis. So it's a coach doesn't have the same.
There's nothing like having somebody else who's done it, who's been there, is doing the same thing you are. Now, here's the other thing, and this is where, I ran my own business for about 3 or 4 years, and I learned so much about why I shouldn't run my own business. Okay, so I learned why I'm happier working for the man, and so I may be
the woman.
Thank you, Lord. Help me, Lord. I'm trying. This what I'm about to suggest might be deeply naive. I still say, though, yes, that relationship with other people who are in the same position and getting that support is useful. I still say there is value in choosing in investing in your relationship with your employees.
Oh yes.
Right?
Oh yes. Totally. Yeah. Yes.
Not a relationship to them where I'm trying to get them to like me or approve of me, but a relationship where I want to understand who they are as a person, see them as a full human being, and let them see me the whole way. That's not a guarantee of success, but again, I still go back to, I really believe when we have a foundation of relationship, there's more possibility there.
Oh, I totally agree with you. You're treating people as people, not as assets.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you seeing the full and respecting the full
Yeah.
doesn't guarantee they're not going to turn around and
Right.
not show up for
Right.
a shift.
Right.
But
And it doesn't guarantee that they're not going to take advantage or
yep,
behave in
badly,
ways
yep.
that you don't want them to, or that kind of thing. But at least you're coming from a place of integrity and aligned with your own values.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's also the thing. Again, I can hear myself saying this. It's going to sound naive. The relationship to the work I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a few leaders that I work around where their relationship to the work they're doing is that they are in service of the people with whom they work. The business they're in is building their people.
Wow.
They do it in pursuit of operating a consulting company.
Right.
That's an outcome, though.
Yeah. Right.
You know, the leaders who I respond to and resonate with the most, they kind of have that people in the foreground
Right.
and the business in the background. That was my mistake at Boeing, and I think that's part of what makes Boeing a tough place to live. The airplane is in the foreground, the people
Right.
are in the background.
Right.
And that's what you and I over the course of our
Yeah.
careers had to learn to manage that a little bit.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, it's hard.
That
It's really
is a
hard.
hard one. That is a hard one because if you've got your mission.
Yeah, there's no business started, where our mission is to develop the men and women who work here and make them feel whole. It doesn't sound like a great business plan. You're not going to get a whole lot of funding if that's what you got to. Hey, there's a market for this idea, and we're going to have it. We're going to sell it. But I'm telling you, if you don't have the people,
Right.
you ain't going to get there.
It's true. Well, and I guess it's just we try to simplify things too much, right? I mean, it's both. But you've got to. You can't pick one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do it all.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a mission that what you're trying to accomplish, you don't have a business.
Yep, that's right.
And if you don't have the people, it doesn't matter what your mission is.
I'm working with a guy right now who is the victim of a classic situation that we see in so many organizations, and I know I lived through it. I don't know that you did, but if you go on a construction job site, the foreman who's directing all the other carpenters, more often than not, she was promoted to foreman because she was the best carpenter and had been around. Around for a while.
Yes.
And so now we're going to take our best foreman and we're going to give her a clipboard and tell her that she's we're going to take our best carpenter, give her a clipboard and tell her she's our foreman now. And in that bargain, we've lost a great carpenter and we've gained a crappy supervisor.
Right. Because no training, no experience.
Totally different job.
Could be a totally different job.
Right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Totally different work. And so I think that's one of the reasons why, though, as a manager of a small business or a manager of the organization, I've got this set of responsibilities with all this people stuff, and it's nebulous, it's fuzzy, I can't measure my progress. I'll make gains one week, but then something happens over the weekend and it feels like I'm back to square one with that person. It'd be just so much easier to go over here and work on this technical part of my business.
Right.
Right. And that's, when I do that again and again, I begin to ignore the people stuff. I begin to remove myself. The people become an impediment to, I see the people as a hassle getting in the way of my doing the work. And oh man, the work is the people.
That is true. That is true for so many situations that I've seen. It's like somebody who's really good at something, an expert at something. They love it. They get a lot of validation for it. And then they either get promoted or they want to be promoted or they start their own business or whatever. And they, without realizing, they can't take that expertness.
It doesn't translate.
With them. I mean, you're always an expert in that, but there's additional, broader requirements, expectations in order to make that next level work.
I was very, very good at being an industrial engineer, being a planner. I was a master chart maker. And for my sins, I got put into supervision, and I was overnight an apprentice.
Yeah.
But my ego was all built around, oh, I'm a master of this, and
Right.
I've developed some status, and
That's really hard. It's really hard because
really
it's a very vulnerable place, not knowing, and
Yeah.
especially when people, you're in a position, like if you're put in a leadership position, and you don't have even the understanding of what's expected,
yeah.
and yet people are coming at you, and you've got all these problems,
Yeah.
and
Well, and now
Yeah.
take it to a small business person. The classic example is somebody opens a bakery because they are a great baker and they love baking. Well, it turns out now I got to spend most of my time
Yes.
paying the bills and getting insurance and dealing with the inspectors who are coming to the.
Yeah.
I don't get to bake anymore.
Yeah. No, that is super true. Do you have any answer for that?
I'm gonna be the broken record. Don't be a victim of it. Just notice, step back, get some removed to say, it isn't that this is a reality, it's that this is what I'm feeling about this reality.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
talking about taking ownership, saying this is how I'm feeling, this is what I want. It's finding allies. But I think ultimately it's being responsible for how I'm feeling about the situation. Like, this is my thing. I'm not going to blame the business or the employees or whatever. It's a me thing. Because so long as it's a me thing, I got a fighting chance at fixing it.
Yeah. It's a choice. You have choices.
I have agency.
Yes.
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 Where if it's a them thing and I'm in complaint and I'm in victim, I'm going to be stuck there.
Right.
And my chances of success are much, much lower.
Right.
Now, that's not a very whiz bang solution.
Yeah. Well, and it's, we have these ideas of success. Like, what does success mean? Sometimes it's, I want to make it to a certain level in an organization. I want to make so much money. I want to have a huge house, or whatever it is. We've got these ideas of what success are, and so that's how I do it. So that's the only path right there, is I'm going to keep going, and I need to be promoted into these different types of jobs, and which kind of gets us wrapped in, that gets us into places maybe that we're not the most happiest.
Well, that's
So
the
back to
story
your
of my life, right?
Well, back to the baker, example. I loved being a baker, but then, so I think I'm going to want to have a business, but I'm not a business person, and I'm not happy being a business person. So then it's the question, the choice is, do I go back to being a baker? But does that...
Doesn't pay very much.
Yeah.
And it's not as respected. And I got to explain to my dad that, no, I'm sold the bakery. I'm going back to work for somebody else in their bakery. There's a whole lot of ego things that get into it.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, it's okay, well, but am I happy?
Right.
And that's how I, as you know my story, that whole experience of becoming a supervisor and just being lousy at it, largely because my ego was in my way, and I wanted people to like me in a situation that was guaranteed to create situations, where I wasn't going to get liked. It was that whole experience in 7 years of banging my head against that rock that had me, have to start reading up and getting smart, and fast forward 20 years and here I am telling other people how to avoid the mistakes that I got into.
I mean, we all go through it, right? That's how we learn.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish we could find a way to learn, fast forward the learning.
Well, but maybe that's the thing. Whatever the crummy situation that I'm facing right now, maybe that's the last move that we can talk about, is to say, choose your relationship. Oh, this is happening. Oh, check it out. I'm growing right now.
That's
I know. Oh, that pain that I'm feeling. Oh yeah, that's like stupidity leaving the body. I'm learning something right now,
good.
right? Okay.
Oh, it is good.
Good. This jerk employee. Wow, I have so much to learn from this situation. Thank you, Providence, for providing me this opportunity to learn. It's so hard though. It is hard.
Hard. Well, we gotta do this again, and I really hope this experiment works.
We should have hit the record button. We've just been talking to a dead camera.
We have not.
It's okay. I'm joking. I'm joking. It's a
Gosh.
joke.
My relationship
Yeah,
to
see that? No confidence.
No.
confidence. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you. So I'm going to read the outro
Oh,
here. So thank you to our listeners for joining us for the Seasons Leadership Podcast. We hope you take these words of excellence with you to help strengthen the organizations and the communities and the businesses in which you live and work. And join us for making excellent leadership the worldwide standard by subscribing to our community on Patreon. Did you know we're on Patreon?
I didn't.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay.
Remember, no matter what level or role, you can be more than you are today. Visit Patreon, patreon.com/Seasons Leadership to become a member and begin working toward your full leadership potential. We would love to connect with you as we build our community of excellent leaders. Until next time, and you never know if we're going to do another one of these, we hope you enjoy the positivity of the season of summer where you are in the flow, moving forward, and taking actions full of energy. Thank you, and thank you, Andy.